Hello there, my name's Scott. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the eBARON repairable dripping atomiser, which I received from www.houseofmods.co.uk. Before I start though, I must point out I did receive it free of charge for the purpose of conducting a review. My opinion of the product remains true, honest and accurate as always. Okay, let's go straight ahead and show you in a bit more detail. Okay, so the eBARON dripping atomiser is available in two different options. You either have the Pro one here, and this is sort of been manufactured with the Pro Vari in mind, because the skirt at the bottom just sort of ties in very nicely with the slanted top cap. And then you have the one called a Spiral, and obviously it's got its name from the spirals. And this will just look nice on any sort of device really. Both of them have a 510 atomiser threading, so that means you can use it on any device that also has a 510 atomiser connection. And they're both made out of 304 grade stainless steel, and the machining on both of these atomisers has really been very good indeed. Now they do come with a coil, wick and ceramic already sort of installed, so all you've got to do is add your e-liquid and start to vape. And they also include a spare wick, coil and ceramic, so when that one obviously needs to be replaced, you can just swap them straight over. Now for anyone who's interested, I will very quickly show you how to install the spare wick, coil and ceramic. Okay, so what I've got here is the base section of the Pro version of the dripper, and I've already just removed the ceramic and the coil and the wick. Now here I have one of the pre-made spares that comes with it. And like I said, these are already made up, and it is a pretty simple process of swapping them over. But if you don't want to sort of keep on going to the site and buying more of these pre-made ones, you can just keep hold of these ceramics, get yourself some wick and wire and just make them up from scratch yourself. And the process for doing it is pretty much exactly the same as what you do on the iAti. Now if you watch my iAti review, that should give you a good idea on how to get it set up. Okay, so if you look on the ceramic, you can see one piece of wire is going inside this little sort of central hole, and you have this longer piece. Now the piece that's being fed inside the ceramic is going to sort of get wedged against that central spike that's sticking up there, and that's going to be connected to the central post here, and that's going to act as your positive, and the longer wire is just going to sort of come in contact with the body of the atomiser and act as your negative. So all you have to do is just push the ceramic firmly onto that central spike to create your positive connection, and when you do so, just try and line up the longer wire so it's going to appear through one of those slots. And that's that, and then all I'll do is just pull this a little bit tighter and just cut it off, so probably around sort of a millimetre. And that's your negative connection all sorted. And then from there, just got to take a pair of pliers, or tweezers should I say, and just get the wicks out of the way and just sort of, I don't know how I'd describe that, just push them down the side I suppose. And then eventually you should end up with something that looks a bit like this, with your coil sitting nicely in the middle of the ceramic, the wick neatly tucked away, and a little tiny piece of wire sticking out of one of the slots, which will act as your negative connection once the mouthpiece section has been screwed into place. And then from there you can just screw on the mouthpiece section and just attach it to whatever device you're going to use, just to make sure the coils are going to fire up. And hopefully, if I attach it to my Pro Vari, you should be able to see the coils glowing, which they do, and that looks all good. Now, both versions of the eBARON dripper have these top caps with a very large, wide mouthpiece. It's got a really nice, big, wide opening now, which obviously just makes direct dripping that much easier. And normally, once I've made up the coil and I've started dripping away, you don't ever need to take this off. You can just drip straight down there, and it works great. However, because I have obviously just made up a brand new fresh coil, I'm just going to prime the wick a little bit with some juice, and then obviously after that, I can just drip straight down the mouthpiece. So I'm just going to give it about sort of, I don't know, 10 drops, something like that, just to sort of help it on its way. Give it a good soak in. I can hear that sort of firing up nicely, and that's it, all done and dusted. Okay, so that is the eBARON Pro or the eBARON dripper, the pro version of the eBARON dripper. Let's go ahead and see what it vapes like. Okay, so that was the eBARON repairable dripping atomizer. So these are dripping atomizers and obviously don't come with a tank or anything like that. So it's a case of every time you want to have a vape, you're going to get your bottle out, drip some e-liquid onto the coil, have a vape for X amount of time. And then as soon as you start noticing a bit of a difference in flavour and vapour production, that's your indicator to start whacking a few more drops on there. Okay, so the coil is reading 1.9 ohms. I'm going to use the Pro version of the dripper on my Pro Vary, and I've got the Pro Vary currently set only at 3.5 volts, and it seems to be doing a really good job of giving me a nice amount of vapour and flavour in that. So I've already got obviously primed that coil, and I've had probably about sort of 7 or 8 drags off it since then, and it still seems to be alright. But I'm just going to add a few more drops anyway. And I'm just using it's a PG based e-liquid, and it's just one I've actually made up myself for a change. And it's just, what have I got in there? I can't remember what I even put in there, but it's basically like tobacco extract, and some other crap basically, just trying to find something I can try and enjoy rather than sort of keep on obviously buying it in the like the ready-made stuff. Anyway, this is a sort of tobacco flavoured e-liquid, and it's possibly an 18 milligram strength. I really don't know. Like I said, there's so much stuff in it. It could be anything. And I've added too many. As you can see, like vapour-wise, you know, plenty of vapour, only sort of 3.5 volts, but you're still getting a really nice amount of vapour there, and it's just like a PG based e-liquid. And excuse me, as well, like throat here as well, getting that really nice sort of strong kick in the back of my throat. With regards to flavour, you know, most of these sort of repairable atomizers do tend to be, you know, really good for flavour production, and the little eBARON is no different whatsoever. And you know, I'm just getting you know, plenty of nice flavour coming out of it. The warmth of the vapour, finding to be sort of quite hot really. I mean, obviously it will be sort of quite dependent on what sort of, you know, voltage you're vaping at and what sort of resistance you've made the coil. Like you can get like the pre-made ones, but or you can just make them up yourself, and obviously you can just make up any old resistance that you like then. And also with regards to like the vapour production and the throat heat as well, things like that will be quite dependent on what sort of coil you're using, what sort of e-liquid, whether it's a PG or VG, and also what sort of voltage or wattage you're using as well. But so, you know, with how I've got it set up here, I do find that the actual, like the warmth of the vape, it does come out sort of pretty hot really. Like, it's nice, it's not like so hot you can't vape it, it's just a very nice sort of warm vape. And I suppose if I was going to say like 1 is a really cold vape and 5 is a really hot vape, then it's definitely like a 4, 4.5. The draw on it, it does feel a little bit sort of airy, like you've got these pretty big air slots going around the bottom there. I know in the close-up shots, I normally have my little sort of chart thing that comes out, I've put down air hole not applicable. But I suppose in a way it is, but it just where it's on like a regular sort of 510 atomizer connection, the actual air hole's in there, so it's probably like a mil, something like that. But it doesn't particularly apply to these sort of atomizers. But like so, you've got these like air slots going around the base there. Obviously not on the spiral version; it's a little bit different. But the Pro version, it's a pretty airy draw, and I suppose if 1 is a really loose draw, 5 being like a really tight draw, then it's probably, you know, probably about sort of 1.5. It feels pretty loose. Actually, I'd say about 2 really.
Yeah, I'd say A2 is a bit better because there is that little bit of resistance there, but definitely more of a loose draw than a tight draw. Ease of setup now, it is pretty easy, I feel anyway. A complete beginner who's never used a rebuildable before might find it a little bit tricky, but like the more you try it, the easier things get. You know, it's just the way things work. And like I say, if you are going to use the coils that already sort of come made, and they do sell them on the site, you know, they just come in a little pack of 5. I think you get like the ceramic, you get the coil already wrapped around it, all the no resistance wire and the wire already sort of joined and coiled around the wick. And all you got to do is drop it into place and then just trim off the little piece of the negative wire and screw it back together again. So really, it's personally, I think it's very, very simple, and I think that you'd be quite hard pressed to struggle with it really. So I'm going to get actually, if I say like 1 is really easy to set up, 5 being really difficult to set up, I'm going to give it a 1 because I personally do think it is a pretty easy atomizer to get going. Obviously, if you're going to sort of make it from scratch, you're going to get your no resistance wire, your resistance wire, cut them off, join them together, wrap them around the coils, and then fit all the stuff in there. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more tricky, and I'll probably do it around sort of the 3 or 4 at the other end of the scale. But if you're going to use like the pre-made ones, like I said, one does actually come with the dripping atomizer as well. And personally, I think it's, you know, a piece of piss, and I'm going to give it a 1. Not had any sort of leaking or anything like that. I mean, like you do get, if you had a bit too much juice, like what I did at the start of the recording there, obviously you get a little bit of a gurgle, but I've never actually had anything sort of coming out. You know, I've had a few gurgles a few times where I've obviously added like too much juice. I had a little tiny drop more actually at the moment, but then that's more down to user error than the actual atomizer. And literally after sort of 1 or 2 drags, you know, that's burnt off anyway, so, you know, like no problems with leaks whatsoever. And you know, build quality, all the parts screwed together very nicely. I probably should say this is actually manufactured by a guy called Leo, who's based in Greece. So I've done a sort of leave him out just in case he feels like he needs a mention. But yeah, manufactured in Greece by a guy called Leo for houseofmods.co.uk. But you know, yeah, build quality wise, you know, it seems to be very nicely made. Just a very nice sort of little dripping atomizer. If you want a dripping atomizer, I'm sure you'd be you know, really happy with it. Like personally, I don't really do a lot of direct dripping. I don't really like it, to be quite honest. It's a lot nicer when you've got a decent atomizer like this, which can actually hold like a fair amount of juice. You haven't got to go, you know, add 2 drops, 1 drag, oh bugger it, I've got to start again and add more drops, 1 drag, start again. I used to just do my nutting when it, you know, when sort of direct dripping first sort of come on the scene. So now you've got these sort of atomizers, hold a bit more juice. At least you can have like an half decent vape without having to sort of reach for the bottle every 2 seconds. And you know, but where these do come very handy, like and where I sort of use them mainly, is when it comes to sort of testing out new flavours, rather than filling up a lot of full cartomizer, having 1 drag, thinking, I'll stop that in, I don't like the taste of that, and chucking it in the bin. You know, at least with these, you know, you can add a few drops, have a taste. You know, if it's not to your liking, then you can just add some more drops, and you very quickly, you know, the new flavour sort of overpowers the old one, so it just makes it a lot easier for sort of testing out flavours. Not a great deal else I can tell you. You know, if you fancy try one out for yourself, go along to www.houseofmods.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching, and also come along and visit my website at www.e-cig-reviews.com. That's e-cig-reviews.com. Cheers guys, happy vaping, see you later.